to Ron Siegel Radio on ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events, and most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Krista Lombardi's in the house, Scott and Quinn Real Estate. Welcome.
Thank you for having me back.
Glad to have you with us again. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. A lot going on in the markets today. I think that following up on our sports talk, if you watched the late game yesterday, how about the phantom call? Well, we're not going to do any phantom calls here today. We're not going to try and use my terminology, rig the football game. Was that funny or not? I guess if you're a Bengals fan, it probably was not funny. Sorry about that, Mark. Moving right along, watching gas prices. Looks like we may have a good time on gas for the holidays. If you're going out of town, try and time this properly so that when you hit the state line, that's when you fill up your gas tank. National gas prices, $2.07 a gallon. Here in the state of confusion, we're still at $2.73 a gallon. 18 states now with less than $2 a gallon gas prices. California is not one of them. Taking a look, we got the TransUnion released its quarterly debt and delinquency data. Apparently most of the bureaus released their information, so let's give you a couple of highlights out of that. Mortgage delinquency rates continued the trend of double-digit annual decreases, going down, so we got less delinquencies on mortgages. Both auto loans and credit cards showed strength through stable default rates and balance growth. Mortgage delinquency rate declined to 2.4% in the third quarter of 2015 from 3.36% in the third quarter of 2014. Look at that. That's a huge drop. Millennials and the age 60-plus age group are the least risky consumer groups. That's another one that's very interesting. The 60-plus, you can understand that one, but when you start seeing millennials are not taking risk, delinquency rates of the millennials, 1.62% and 1.77% for the 60-plus group. Every state experienced yearly declines in mortgage delinquency rates. Every state. Good news there. Equifax numbers. Originations at banks are not matching the pace of mortgage portfolios. What's that tell us? Well, people are starting to wise up. They're not going to the bank to get a loan, not going to the brick and mortars to get their home loans. Why do I suggest that being a benefit to you all the time? Well, very, very simple. When you go to the big bank, guess whose program they're going to offer you? Theirs. Try walking into Chase and ask them what MetLife is doing, or SunTrust. Try walking into Wells Fargo asking what is U.S. Bank doing. They don't have those answers. That's why I suggest to you on a regular basis, you want a mortgage banker, not a broker, and not the brick and mortar bank that you can walk into. That's not the best source for you. Now, a great mortgage banker will have access to the programs and the rates. They're buying at a wholesale level from the brick and mortars that you can walk into. So you're not excluding them from the shopping purpose. You're just getting somebody else to do, number one, do the work for you, but give you more access to more product around the marketplace. Another interesting note in the Equifax report, subprime mortgage originations have risen across the U.S. Subprime is coming back. Interesting information there. First mortgages to borrowers with low credit scores increased 30.5%. Low credit scores increased by 30.5%. Home equity installment was up 29.5%. HELOCs up 20.4%. Interesting information coming out of these reports. I'm going to share with you also. Here's one that nobody really wants to talk about. We talk about some of these various numbers. If you are one of those first-time home buyers, those are the people that are really getting some bum information out there in the marketplace. First-time home buyers are thinking that they need to have stellar credit. They define that as 780 or above. First-time home buyers think they need to have 20% down. That part is incorrect as well. So what are some of the truth, and what can some of these folks really do? The one thing that the first-time home buyers are not talking about, 2015 Rent.com report, rental market report. 88% of property managers raised their rent in the last 12 months, and there does not appear to be any signs of that stopping. 68% of property managers predict that rental rates will continue to rise in the next year by an average of 8%. 8% increase. Here's the statistic that comes out of this report that really got me interested and intrigued and wanting to share this with you. 53% of the property managers said that they were more likely to bring in a new tenant at a higher rate than negotiate and renew a lease with a current tenant they already know. I'll say that again. 53% of the property managers, even though they're going to raise the rent, want somebody new. They don't want you in there. Interesting information. Mortgage credit availability is increasing, according to these reports. And one of the options, or one of the programs that I really think is something for you to consider, think about this program. A 2.95% start rate on a 30-year fixed-rate loan. That's a 5.07 APR, and that's kind of mumbo-jumbo that a lot of people don't really understand what that portion of it means. But here's the issue that I really want you to understand when we talk about a start rate and a 30-year fixed-rate loan. The whole idea behind it's called a buy-down. So you go for the first year, 2.95%. If it's an FHA loan, you're going to have to add the mortgage insurance on there because all FHA loans have mortgage insurance. But think about that. Add 85 basis points. That brings that up to a 3.8 interest rate and mortgage insurance. When you add the two of them together, 3.8 for the first year. Now, why is it important that we talk about for the first year? Well, because the loan goes up to 3.95 after the first year, and that's still a great interest rate. But what is more important than that is I want you to make those payments on time all year long and then see if there's enough equity in the property, if the property is appreciated enough to where you can refinance that loan and get out of the mortgage insurance completely or get private mortgage insurance, which will be significantly less than the FHA mortgage insurance premium. Think about that as a strategy. That's where the difference is between going online and getting an interest rate, going online and getting a loan, going into the big bank on the corner and getting a loan, and working with somebody that understands mortgage planning. It's not an issue of just getting a mortgage. Mortgages can be an integral part, they should be an integral part of your entire overall financial plan. Debt is one part of financial planning. You need to understand it and how to make it work for you. And if you want some information on it, just give me a call, 800-306-1990. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to chat quite a bit today on what do you do if you've got a property that's been listed for sale for an extended period of time, but it's not selling. What do you do? How about equity matters a lot? Freddie Mac came out with a new report, how to keep debt collectors from ruining your holidays, and some new information on reverse mortgages. We'll talk about all of that. You can reach me anytime. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Ron Siegel Radio Date Night Trivia, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. Friday, Ron will pose a question based on-air conversations during the prior 7 programs. The person to post the answer according to the guest conversation will win a date night package, including a dinner gift card for Reunion Kitchen and Drink. You might even be able to say hi to Ron when you visit Reunion Kitchen and Drink.
It's not every day your home gets flooded, but when it happens, you've got the good people at Apris on your side. With over 25 years of construction and insurance experience, they can turn any disaster around, making your home good as new. For 24/7 support, call 844-GO-APRIS or find us on the web at www.apris.me. Day, night, rain, or shine, when it happens to you, you know what to do. Go Apris. Remember, call 844-GO-APRIS. That's 844-462-7747.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. In the Mortgage Minute today, we're going to chat a little bit about research on the reverse mortgage. There are some new research studies. Interesting story. I'm going to tell you about that, but after I tell you that the Mortgage Minute is being brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. If you are looking to send some money to your favorite charity, but you don't want it to come out of your pocket, maybe out of the credit card processing fee that you're already paying, that might be the better solution for you. I'll share with you how to do it. Call me, 800-306-1990. So what are they saying about, first off, let's talk about who did the research, who they interviewed. So the MacArthur Foundation and the Department of Housing and Urban Development tried to get some insight as to what's influencing prospective borrowers to follow through with the reverse mortgage. And why would they stop going through with that program if they went through counseling? What were the yays and the nays? ClearPoint Credit Counseling researchers recorded information for 1,778 people. If it was me, I would have done 1776 just for nostalgic purposes. Between 2012 and 2014, they fit into three categories. People who did not obtain a reverse mortgage, those who obtained and kept their reverse mortgage, and people who obtained and then terminated their reverse mortgage. Average age of the respondents, 70 years old. So for the people who obtained a reverse mortgage, why did they do it? 42% of the time it was to afford everyday expenses. I've talked to you about that one before. 38% wanted to pay off their mortgage, their existing mortgage. 15% expressed they wanted to use their reverse mortgage as a retirement tool. And some others said that they wanted to specifically postpone other retirement income. We've talked about when you take Social Security being a $500,000 decision. Think about this. If you've got take out a reverse mortgage, paying 4 or 5% interest, yet your Social Security is growing by 8% if you do not take it, which way are you better off? Just some thoughts there for you. If you want more information about the full report or you want legitimate information about the reverse mortgage, give me a call. So many seniors still are thinking about the reverse mortgage that was in existence in 1980, and they're not thinking about the one that's in existence today, 2015. You got to get the current information, not the old stuff. That's the Mortgage Minute. Again, brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. I want to chat today, significant amount of, we're going to spend a lot of time over the next couple of weeks trying to help some of you who are sort of stuck. You decided back in April or May that you're going to list your house for sale. You decided on a real estate professional that's going to help you, and I commend you for doing that. Then you went and found out that your house did not sell. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to try alternatives? Are you going to continue doing the same thing and expect different results? Was it Einstein that said that's the definition of insanity? What are you going to do? Well, we're going to chat about that. Krista Lombardi's in the house. Been doing a little bit of real estate for a day or two, right, Krista?
For a day or two, yeah.
So what we're going to chat about here is we want to really get into some real-life things that people can do. Should they continue with the same agent?
I mean, first of all, it depends. Why isn't their house selling?
You know, that's going back to that start at the beginning. Good. Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. I mean, they say there's 5 reasons why a house doesn't sell. Realistically, I believe it's 3. One's going to be price, one's condition, one's location. You can't move the house. Right. The price cures that.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's speak about that because so many people here in real estate, the key comment that everybody says is location, location, location. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
If you've got a house that's on the worst street in the world and it's $100, I bet it's going to sell.
At $100, I would buy it.
Right?
Would you?
So we know that there's a price for everything.
Sure.
Right? I mean, look at what's going on in Michigan. Nobody wants to live in Michigan, yet they've got those blocks of houses that are selling for $100.
Right.
And they're all selling out.
Right.
So now we have to figure out, okay, where's the right price? Somewhere between where they are now and $100 is going to be the right price.
Right.
Right? Okay.
You got a lot of leeway there.
Exactly. But I mean, that just goes to say that location is not always the only answer.
No, I mean, location's not the only answer. Let's say you have a house in really poor condition. I mean, I've had homes listed that had cracked slabs and we got 30 offers on them, you know? But it comes down to being flexible there because you're probably not going to go in. If the condition is not good of the house, you're probably not going to go in and do a remodel on it, spend tens of thousands of dollars or more.
Right.
So again...
Unless it's priced to give somebody the motivation to go in and spend tens of thousands.
Exactly.
Right? Because we do have investors that'll go in and if they get the right price, they'll go in and put that money into it and then relist.
Right.
So we have to understand what the condition is. That's again, and one of the issues that people constantly think about is, well, if the agent couldn't sell it, I'll just put a sign out and reduce the price.
You know, if you look at the statistics at the end of the day, the people that do for sale by owners, they end up selling for less than they would if they were on the MLS. And the buyers know that, the ones that are willing to play ball with the for sale by owners. So did they really achieve their end goal?
And from the numbers that I'm looking at that came out of these recent reports, it's not that for sale by owner, it's not a little bit less than using an agent. It's a lot less.
What's the number, like 17?
Well, I'm looking at one here that, if I can put my glasses on and see the exact numbers, for sale by owner where the buyer knew the seller on the same statistical piece of property was $152,000. If they sold it on their own, $210,000, and if they used an agent, $249,000. Obviously, when you're looking at a 152 to a 249, could be mom and dad selling to a child, and they wanted to sell it. Just give it to them at whatever their basis is.
That's a great deal,
right?
Yeah.
So that one there we might discount a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you look at somebody selling on their own at $210,000 median priced home, these are national numbers.
Sure.
We can do our math, right? If it's a $500,000 house that's $420 versus $500, it's a huge amount of money difference.
Right. What did that get them?
A lot of extra work. Right? I mean, it did take a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
Because, actually, something, Krista, I've got a list here of what it got them. It got them, they had to negotiate with a buyer. They might have had to negotiate with a buyer's agent or a buyer's attorney. They had to figure out, they might have had to negotiate with a home inspection company. They probably had to deal with a termite company. They probably had to deal with the buyer's lender, an appraiser, title company. They might have had to deal with permits in towns and cities, the buyer's buyer, and a bank in the case of a short sale.
What about the request for repair?
Right.
Oh, that's the best part.
Right. So those are the things that you can expect from a professional agent who's representing somebody.
Right.
That's probably just a small part of the list that you have to do as an agent, right?
We got to talk to all those lovely people.
Or if you want to do it on your own, you could. Here's the beauty of that, and I think that's where you were going with that, Krista, is that you can do it on your own and then get less money. Right? I mean...
And waste your time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a... Talk about insanity. So what we want to then do is now we have to look at alternatives. So we have to go back to your list there. It's either location, condition, or price.
Right.
And would you say that you're better off taking it off the market for a little while before you lower the price, or are you better off lowering the price while it's still on the market? What are your thoughts?
When you sit down with your real estate agent and you look at your contract that you're going over, and you decide when that property is going to expire off the market, I highly recommend you don't choose the 31st or the 1st of every month.
Okay. Why is that?
Because what you do, there's this lovely sector of the real estate industry that gets all of their business primarily from cold calling. Okay. And so what's going to happen...
I would call that, as a consumer advocate, I call that the ambulance chasers.
Excellent. There you go.
Right? I mean... It's the same scenario, right? I mean, because they look at the MLS and they say, this property at 123 Main Street just expired. We're going to call.
And they start calling. Yep. Start calling at 7 o'clock in the morning. They'll go all day for 2 weeks straight. Even if it's been relisted, it keeps happening. So,
that's exciting.
Can you imagine your life like that if you're the seller? I mean, your house didn't sell. You take it off the market.
Yeah, you've had to keep your house in, the way I put it is, you have to keep your house in museum condition.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't sell after 3 or 6 months or however long the listing is. And then you get to deal with stalkers. That sounds exciting.
Ooh.
Well, I guess as a informative radio show, what we better do is think about the idea of what are the alternatives. And that's what we're going to talk with Krista about when we come back, because you are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Alternative to stalkers. That might be the topic that we're going to get into in the next segment or two. We're also going to talk about equity. It matters a lot. What are you going to do with it? And how to keep debt collectors, those are stalkers too, away from ruining your holidays. All that and more. You can reach me at any time. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Southern California attorneys have over 15,000 real estate agents to call in Orange County for their personal and professional needs. Why do they overwhelmingly call Melinda Johnson? Simple. It's the Melinda Johnson trifecta. Melinda is an attorney, real estate broker, and realtor. Does your family deserve the same professional services California lawyers demand? Call Melinda Johnson at 714-863-5485. That's 714-863-5485. Or on the web at freedomfirstproperties.com. Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037 and DRE number 018694452.
37% of American homeowners believe they have over 20% equity in their homes. Fannie Mae tells us 69% of American homeowners have over 20% equity in their homes. Fully 1 in 3 American homeowners are not informed about the amount of equity they have in their homes. Are you one of them? How might this be holding you back from achieving your goals? Text RSR CMA to 79564 to get a property valuation from one of the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Again, to know how much your home is really worth, simply text RSR CMA to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment being brought to you today by the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. If you don't have a household board of directors, shame on you. You're missing it. You need a real estate agent. You need a mortgage professional, maybe a reverse mortgage professional, credit repair person, insurance, taxes, CPA, financial planners. Even if you don't think you have a lot of money, you still need the whole household board of directors. Just because Social Security alone is a $500,000 decision as to when you start taking it. What are your options? Text ATP to 79564. ATP to 79564. We'll put together a household board of directors for you and introduce you to all the people that you need to know. Interesting report from Freddie Mac. Equity matters a lot was their commentary. Many reasons, both financial and non-financial, that home ownership remains an important part of the American dream. One of the biggest reasons is the fact that it helps build family wealth. Recently, Freddie Mac wrote about the power of home equity, and they explained, I'm just going to quote it here for you. In the simplest terms, equity is the difference between how much your home is worth and how much you owe on your mortgage. You build equity by paying down your mortgage over time and through your home's appreciation. In a nutshell, your money is working for you and contributing toward your financial future, unquote. And they went on to show some examples in the report. Borrowing, and this is nationwide numbers, so the numbers are small when you compare it to most areas of California. Borrow $135,000, Paid $17,000 in principal. That was your down payment. Outstanding balance $117,000. Appraised value $185,000. Over time, amount outstanding. So you end up with equity of $67,000. It continues to build over time, and that's why the average home equity among homeowners by age, here's a couple numbers for you. If you're under 35, you've got about $53,000 in home equity. Average numbers, again, these are from Merrill Lynch. 35 to 44, you've got $111,000 in home equity. 55 to 64, $195,000 home equity. You can use that money. 65 plus, $213,000. Work on that home equity issue, and I suggest to you all the time, you don't want to keep the money, the equity there. You want to get the equity out of the property. Get the equity working for you. If I said to you, especially on that last number, let's think about this. If you are age... What was that? Let me find it here. Age 65 plus. And I said to you, you've got $212,000 in home equity, or you've got $212,000 that you can put and stick it under your pillow. You might not sleep very well, but just hypothetically, you put it under your pillow. Is that really the best use of your money? You're getting the same rate of return either way, under your pillow or in home equity. Your rate of return is identical. Why not put it in a safe, secure investment that's got some historical averages, 8, 10, 12, 14% historical. I can't promise going into the future, but that's what they've done in the past. Why wouldn't they, or could they do it again? Think about that. 65, that means statistically you've got 20 years ahead of you to keep that money under your pillow. Is there logic there? I don't think so. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment. Again, brought to you by the area trusted professionals, Ron Siegel Radio. Text ATP to 79564. There's even insurance people that are involved in this program. We're going to continue our conversation with Krista Lombardi, Scott and Quinn Real Estate. We were chatting before the break about the houses that did not sell. You made a decision April or May to list your house. You did some due diligence, I hope. Listed the end of June. Now you're coming up toward the end of the year, and your house still hasn't sold. And we talked about the idea that it's probably got to do with the location of your property, which we dispelled that because price will solve that problem. So maybe it's the price that's the problem, or the condition of the property. But there could be some other issues there too. So let's chat with Krista about some of those other issues. Krista, I was looking at a report here, and I'm going to see if I can find it on my computer so I can actually share some legitimate numbers. Over the last 11 years, we got a survey that shows where people where buyers find the homes they purchase, easy for me to say. And 11 years ago, yard signs counted for a tremendous amount of where people found their homes. Newspapers was only 5% of the time, and it's diminishing, so it's kind of interesting that people put their money there.
Oh.
But the internet is the number that's really grown.
Absolutely. Everybody goes on there. I mean, even before they choose an agent, a buyer chooses an agent, they've probably been on the internet. I want to say the statistic is 3 months. I could be off on that. But they've already been on there for quite some time shopping for houses.
And I'm looking at, that's about 35% of the people say that the internet is where they found their home. It looks like maybe 10% now find them through yard signs, and it's under 2% through the newspaper.
I'm surprised it's not zero.
Right, exactly. I didn't even know people are still getting a newspaper.
Me neither.
But my son likes it. He likes to read the Orange County sports section, I guess. I forgot what they call it. OC Varsity, high school sports. Okay, so then if they're finding it on the internet, and somebody's had their house listed for a while, do you recommend maybe freshening up what the internet's showing? Maybe new pictures or...
Yeah, if it does not show well on the internet, people are not going to go look at it unless what you'd like is a lowball offer.
Okay, we could find people that'll make lowball offers all day long. That's
right,
easy.
Absolutely.
That doesn't take a great real estate agent. That just has to be put the one-liner on Craigslist.
Isn't it something about if they breathe in front of the mirror and there's fog?
Right, if you can fog a mirror, they'll do it, right?
Okay.
Exactly. So the pictures that we can take with our handy-dandy iPhone, standing in the corner of the room, that's always a great picture, right?
Believe it or not, I still see listings that have those. I can't believe it.
So let me ask you this then. Is there a difference if my agent puts the listing on the multiple listing service before they have the pictures, or should they wait until after the pictures are done?
Okay, so I always want about 2 weeks lead time before I put a listing on the market.
Okay.
Sometimes your sellers will push you, they want it on this day, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't have the time to market it, to get the word out, to get the buzz going, and to unveil it appropriately, then it just doesn't show well. So if you put on the MLS with no pictures, you've lost market time, and people look at it and they say, I'm not going to go see that house. It must be a dump.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. And I like the way you termed that is you want to get it ready and unveil it.
Right.
I like that terminology.
It's got to be something that shines. When it comes out, you want your phone to be ringing off the hook.
Could you imagine going to to buy a new car, and all you see is a car with a bunch of mud all over it?
Some dirty windows.
Right.
No.
Right. I mean, that's not really that's not going to entice somebody to spend $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever the number is.
Right.
Right. And that's what a home investment is. So if your agent is not doing that, Krista can't say some of these things because there's all kinds of ethics things that she has to deal with. I just say it straight out.
Thank you, Ron.
If your agent is not putting up professional pictures, if they don't have a website or a web presence that's both optimized for mobile and computer screen and tablet, it's got to be optimized for all of those things. And you got to find a new agent. And as you come toward the end of your listing, if they're not going out there and sharing with you what's the reality, if your property hasn't sold, they should need to have a heart-to-heart, not, well, we got to continue doing the same thing that we've been doing, and it just takes time. Hogwash! What's the statistics for me a little bit, Krista? I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but is there a lot of inventory in the San Diego market?
So we were at around 7,500 homes, attached, detached, townhomes, all of those, at the beginning of October. And it's come down roughly about 1,000 homes. So to put things into perspective, when we were in 2008, and it was really tough,
right? We
had 23,000 homes on the market, and when it was really hot, we had 3,000. So, 1,000 homes in that's a lot of less than 60 days.
Yeah, that's a big drop, and then going, 3,000 in a real hot market. Mm-hmm. So that means we're probably in a hot to moderate right now.
Right.
Right. So it's the issue. If your house hasn't sold, it's not because there's nobody out there buying, and it's not because we're flooded with inventory. Although a lot of statistics are saying that there is a lot of new homes, new construction coming on the market early next year. Right? So the idea is make something happen right now. Thinking about the pricing, Krista, what are your ideas? How do we educate people if they've got a house, and it looks nice? What are we going to do with it? How do we get them to understand what the real value of their property is?
There's a big difference between when you list your home, how you market it, and what your home is worth. A lot of sellers want to get a buyer who's going to come in at their price and negotiate it all down. Whereas at that point, you've got one person that's basically janking they're pulling your chain every day. I mean, they're saying, hey, I want this now. They're negotiation. They have all of the leverage on their side as a buyer. So what you need to have a price that everybody wants to pay. They want to be the winning bid, and they'll do whatever it takes to get that house because they want to win.
That's interesting. I like that. We did a broadcast about that, I think last week, probably Wednesday, talking about listing a property 15% below market value. Mm-hmm. That way 90% of the market comes in, and you create that bidding frenzy. Mm-hmm. Get everybody looking at it. Okay, there's one idea. We're going to come up with some more ideas for you on what you should do. Again, if your property's on the market 5 months, it hasn't sold, you haven't reduced the price, no new pictures, I'm going to tell you, new agent is the time in many instances, or get a reality check from somebody, telling you, hey, have a heart-to-heart conversation with your agent as to why it's not selling. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. We will also chat about some ways to keep debt collectors from ruining your holidays. You can reach me anytime. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you have a loved one who wants to stay in their home but you have health concerns about it? The Preferred Care team understands the challenges of caring for your loved ones. Their goal is to keep seniors as independent as possible while maintaining their health, safety, and overall well-being. Whether you need just a few hours a week or 24-hour care, Preferred Care caregivers are trained to meet your needs. Call Preferred Care at 714-696-9150. That's 714-696-9150. Or visit preferredcare.com.
Attention homeowner 62 and older. Do you worry if you can afford to keep your home? Are you concerned about paying all your monthly expenses? Or do you simply wish you could live a better retirement? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may qualify for a program that can help. It's called FHA Reverse Mortgage. It's insured by the federal government. You'll receive tax-free money. You aren't required to make any monthly mortgage payments, and you still own your home. Siegel Lending Team is a local leader in FHA reverse mortgages. Call free to get your free reverse mortgage guide, free custom quote. And when you call now, you can get all your questions answered by local experts. There is no monthly mortgage payment and tax-free money you can use for healthcare expenses, home improvements, or just live a better retirement with peace of mind. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-1990 to get your free reverse mortgage guide and quote. You'll also find them on the web at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Call 800-306-1990 now.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
This year, take the worry out of holiday shipping by visiting the packing and shipping experts at the UPS Store. For an independently owned and operated location near you, visit theupsstore.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report and it is wrong. They are all wrong. I've yet to see one that's not got errors on it. I'm not saying perfect scores. I'm just saying errors on the report. Credit Sanitizer, they've got some solutions for you. How do you keep debt collectors from ruining your holidays? Well, obviously the first one, pay the bill. But in some instances, that's not a wise choice. If you've got a strategic reason for doing a home loan coming up, buying a car, you've got a 3, 4, 5-year-old bill, don't pay it right away. You've got to understand it's going to get re-aged the minute you make even a $1 payment on it. So you got to understand what your strategies are, what you're looking to do. But ruining the holidays, you got to understand the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Ask for a written verification of the debt. It requires a debt collector send you a written notice telling you the amount of money you owe and the name of the creditor within 5 days of contacting you. Be proactive. Know your rights. Even if you legitimately owe the debt in question, there are laws regarding how exactly someone can collect on it. Times of day, what time they can call, who they can call. Can they call you at work? You need to understand that. If you've told a collector not to call you at work, they have to stop that. Request a cease of communications. That is another option under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It allows you to request that a debt collector stop contacting you or contact you only by mail. But you can't tell them to stop on the phone. You've got to do it in writing. You want to keep a copy of it anyway for your own records. Get ahead of any unpaid obligations. If you have a credit card that's well past due, medical bill that's nearly 90 days late, you may want to contact the creditor before it happens. Just be a good steward. That's the whole issue here. The debt collectors, some of them get a little carried away, but the bottom line is they're trying to do their job. They're trying to collect a debt, and you need to look into it, resolve it in a honorable way. I'm never suggesting that you don't pay your debts. That's not the issue. That's not my recommendation. But you have to do it smart. If it's a 3, 4, 5-year-old debt, California statute of limitations, I'm not an attorney, 4 years. But you may have a lender that says to you, you know something, we're not going to lend you money while that's still on your credit report. So you may want to deal with it during the escrow process. Maybe you can negotiate it down. But be careful because you want to make sure that it doesn't negatively impact your credit scores to ruin what you're trying to accomplish. That is Your Credit Matters, again brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. Continuing our conversation right now with Krista Lombardi, we're chatting about what do you do if your house hasn't sold over a significant period of time. So, Krista, we talked about the idea of, before we went to break, we were talking about the pictures and marketing and unveiling the property. How do I find out? You know, it seems to me that as a consumer, I'm going to let the elephant out of the bag here. Sometimes it's the scapegoat is just saying, for an agent to come in and say, just lower the price. And, if you go down to that $100, it's going to sell, and that way they get their commission. You're out of a house. You didn't get as much as you want. You're not excited by the process. What can you do as an agent to educate me from the standpoint of, so I know that I am overpriced or where the market really is? Mm-hmm. How do you do that? How do you go about, would it be unreasonable of me to ask you, hey, Krista, can you take me out and show me the competition?
Of course. Of course you can do that.
And that'll get me educated as to the fact that, hopefully I've hired a great agent. If I didn't, though, you start getting 3, 4, 5 months out of in contract, and I'm never going to say it's my fault. Right? It's not my property that's bad. It's not my location that's bad. It's not my property's appearance or the fact that I'm not letting anybody in the house. It's the agent didn't do it. Right? That's always who's going to catch the blame. The
agent's always going to catch the blame, definitely. And who knows? I haven't seen this particular house, but there's lots of, maybe you have 1930s furniture in the home. I don't know. But going out and looking at the competition is a great idea.
And that way, if you've got a great agent, they can say, something, maybe we need to restage it.
Agreed. I've done that before. Mm-hmm.
Give me some other ideas. What else can we do to try and make sure that the homeowner, and maybe if the agent's not doing this, again, it might be that you just need to find an agent, like yourself, who's going to say, who's not going to be a yes person. Right? I don't want somebody, when I'm dealing with a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, to tell me what I already know.
Right. So if you've already gone through, you've restaged it or destaged it, uncluttered it, you've done pictures, new pictures, you've refreshed it online, and I'm a big fan of value range pricing, so maybe put it with a large range. You get people in at the bottom level and see if you can get some bids on it and negotiate up. If all of that still doesn't work,
then what do we do? Then you have to start looking and saying, okay, the price, there is going to be a price for every property. We already established that.
Well, and it depends on the equity that the person has in their home. If the numbers don't pencil out, they're not able to sell because they're on the verge of not even having the money to pay the commissions, then it's time to pay some equity down or wait a little bit.
And then we have to start looking at what is the motivation for selling.
Right.
Right? Are you selling because you want to or because you have to?
Right.
And that's where we've got into, it's not as prevalent today, but obviously 4 or 5 years ago we did deal in the short sale market.
Right.
Which is something that may be required, but then you have to a whole nother set of situations that you have to look at. Does your agent know how to do that?
Nowadays, who knows?
Right? I mean, yeah,
and they've changed significantly, the short sales, the process.
Interesting. Okay. So let's contemplate. We've got the property to a point where it's going to sell, right? We know either one of these things is going to work. I mean, I promise, can't guarantee, but I have a suspicion that if you get to the right price, it's going to sell.
Absolutely.
Right? Every property will. What do we do then? I mean, let's talk a little bit about the agent. Who goes to the home inspection? Do I go as a seller, or does my agent go, or the buyer's agent? Who goes to that home inspection?
So the buyer pays for the home inspection. So the people that should be there are the buyer and the buyer's agent. As we just recently had a situation where the listing agent showed up, and boy, okay, so now we're going on the listing agent coming in and trying to debate over what works and what doesn't work. And I mean, it's the buyer's money. Right, they're there. It's their time.
It's not the purpose. You're not there to debate over it. The buyer wants a third party to tell them the condition of the home.
Right.
And they can accept it in any condition they choose to accept it.
Right, absolutely. And it's not an agent's duty to go and inspect the pool or the spa and say why it's working or not working. That just doesn't. As a matter of fact, it killed the deal for us. I mean, the buyers were so mad because it kept coming back to, we're not going to sell, we're selling the house as is. These all should work just fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I like that. Don't worry about it. You're spending you're buying your castle.
Only $500,000. I mean, that's nothing, right?
Yeah. And something I use the term all the time, Krista, that it doesn't matter the price. I mean, every person who's buying a house is buying their castle.
Yeah.
Right? At $200,000, it's their castle. At $500,000, as you're just talking about, that's their castle.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is at $1 million or $2 million. That's their castle.
Sure.
I would suggest probably if somebody's buying a house for $1 million or $2 million, they've probably got less skin in the game than the person that's buying a $200,000 house, right? I mean, because at $1 million or $2 million, they've got money.
Absolutely.
Right? At $200,000, it's taking everything they can scrimp together to get in there.
Right. And it's tough because you're going to have things that aren't okay with the house. There are going to be, some are going to be nickel and dime issues, and some are going to be big ticket items, and you've got to evaluate what's going to be important.
How firm is it when somebody submits an offer there, or when a listing says as is? Is that firm? Is that
even the contract theoretically says that all properties are sold as is, but you cannot not allow someone to submit a request for repair. I mean, it's a request.
Okay.
And if you're looking at some big ticket items that are health and safety, you should probably address those.
Well, health and safety, that I like the way you put that, because health and safety is going to affect whether you can get a loan or not.
Right.
Right, unless it's a cash offer. There's very few that I know of, and I've been doing loans for a long time, that are going to allow a health and safety violation, a loan for a property that way.
You wouldn't believe how many agents or sellers say that they don't want to fix the heat, for example.
It's California. We don't need heat.
Maybe we don't, but do you need it for the loan?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, got to have it.
Yeah.
So even though it says as is, that doesn't mean that you, if you're representing me as a buyer, can't go in and make requests.
Yeah, you can make requests. So definitely.
And then it becomes a negotiation. Who's going to win? Who's got the stronger conviction? Mm-hmm. Who's got the better agent, the better negotiator working for them? And it goes back to finding the great agent.
Right. I mean, what happens if a property next door goes up on the market for $20,000 less? Do the repairs. You'll be better off.
Absolutely. And again, if you don't have a great agent, let me know. I can introduce you to great agents. Krista here in San Diego, anywhere in the sound of my voice. I know people, and I'd be happy to introduce you. And be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. If you want to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990. 1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
XEPN 700 AM, Kita Bahkan.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700.